It had been a tough, stressful day. On top of that, I had a headache from trying to cut back on caffeine. So after dinner, I went for a walk at the park, alone. And it was drizzling, rainy. And that's kind of how I felt. Mopey, grumpy, needed away from the family for a while. So as I walked, I complained to God, looking up above at the misty clouds and seeing His majesty. I poured out my heart to Him. I know He's sovereign. I know He's in control. I know He allows things to happen all around me. I know I make a mess of what He's given me sometimes. But I paid attention to the trees and the birds a bit. Some birds calling out to others, some sharing a tree on opposite sides. Some of them just sitting alone, just looking out across the meadow. I wasn't sure at first. I kept looking in a direction, but there was a doe along the border of the park, staring back at me. Not sure of me either, I guess. Didn't move, just staring. But I moseyed onward, and there were trees of different types at the park. Some are so beautiful, vibrant, branches spread out just so. The birds find it easy to make a nest there in its crooks. The blossoms are strong, they're pretty. But there are other trees that are misshapen, like somebody lopped off a little too much on one side, and they're leaning to stand up straight toward the heavens. They have fewer branches, fewer places for birds to visit. They've had it hard. There's also a couple gum trees at the park, and they have these prickly fruit blossoms that nobody wants that in their yard to play in. They're pokey. I asked God, why did you make such a tree? Why a tree like that? I like chewing gum, but I don't like gum trees. In a little bit, I saw a tree that looked okay at first, but there's no leaves, there's no fruit, no movement of the wind moving it, scraggly looking. It was dead. Sometime this summer, it's going to be looking at saw blades. As I walked on, I came to a stump. The tree was already cut down. And I stopped. And I looked at it a while. And I thought, that could be me. God seemed to be asking me, what type of tree are you? Where's your fruit? And if there is fruit, is it prickly? Or is it good? If there's no fruit, the tree gets cut down. You'll be a stump if you don't do something about it. Oh God, hold on a sec, I said. Would you do that? Yes, He would. Yes, He did. In Mark 11, Jesus sees this fig tree, and it has leaves all over it. It looks like it should be ripe with figs, but there's not one. There's not a single one. So Jesus curses the tree, and it shrivels up. Done. No more chance to produce fruit. Jesus walks on, but His disciples, they're just astonished. So He uses that as a lesson to teach them about faithful prayer. But for me, when I thought of that, staring at that stump, it made me think about the fruit that God's looking for. Fruit that He should be able to pick up when He comes by checking. Walking back the way I came, I had to check myself on my level of grumpiness and mopiness. I'd felt completely entitled to that before. Now, no. Unlike those trees, I have a choice. I could stay grumpy and mopey, or I could be the way Jesus called me to be. It's a whole lot easier to stay in a moody funk all day long than it is to rise out of it and act the way Jesus asks me to, with love. Those trees all had the same soil, same water, same birds more or less around them. Some were healthy, some were doing well, some were just not. Now, I don't know if some were hit with blight or mildew or moss growth or too many kids or animals bothering it. But when God's given a tree enough time, enough sun, enough water in the soil, even adds his own fertilizer in his own way, then he has expectations to see fruit, to see growth, to be able to pick through the leaves and be satisfied with sweet fruit. Not something prickly, not nothing. He expects the same of me, the same of us. John 15 says God doesn't want just a small crop either. He wants much fruit. So, I wanted to pass that on to you. Got some work to do. I want to make much of him.